Hello and welcome to the Energy Connect studio at ADIPEC 2024. I'm delighted to have sitting in the studio next to me today, Julian Panter, the CEO of SmartSea, and Carsten Sonne-Schmidt, the CEO of Digital Energy. Thank you both for coming here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Julian, to start off, how do you see the standardization of digital systems contributing to greater reliability and efficiency within the energy sector?
I think the best way of probably answering that is to try and reference another industry, which is aviation, and the company that actually is 51% shareholder of my organization, SmartSea, is a company called SITA, and SITA has been responsible over 75 years of standardizing technology in the aviation sector, and I think we can really learn from aviation in terms of how digitalization being standardized has helped the supply chain of aviation from the airport through the borders and onto the airplanes. It allows airplanes to utilize the same airport. It allows your baggage to be tracked through the supply chain. So the fact that I think if we can try and do that in shipping and maritime logistics and oil and gas, I think it's going to improve efficiency. I think it's going to help companies to become safer, more efficient, and create better revenues and opportunities for their organizations.
And then how can an IT service provider support these roles?
Well, I think the IT companies have got to think of themselves as enablers in this regard. And that's where I think also there is an obligation on the IT companies to think about partnership more than being, let's say, an isolated individual company. So I think it's about building, let's say, ecosystems of technology providers that will build solutions for the sector and offer that consolidated approach. So I think that IT companies and service providers are an enabler of standardization in the oil and gas sector, maritime sector, shipyards. So I think it's really important. And if you look at, for example, again, I'm referencing the company that owns 51% of my business, SITA. They have partnered and collaborated with technology providers. And where there is not a standardized approach, SITA have bridged that gap by creating the middleware, which connects those providers. So it's about partnership and togetherness when it comes to technology. So the mentality of the technology providers has got to be that enablement of standardization.
So you invoke the aviation industry as well as the oil and gas industry. But when it comes to standardization systems, there are certain challenges that companies face when adopting them. So how does SmartSea help overcome them?
Well, I think that the previous answer is probably an indication of what needs to happen, and that is again about partnership and collaboration. And I think the important thing is to not make existing technology obsolete or redundant. Because companies have invested huge amounts of money in their IP, their technology, and some of the technology solutions that companies have, whether it's an NOC or it's big EPC companies or shipping companies, very important to them. I think it's about creating an opportunity as a technology provider to bridge those technologies so they don't exist in isolation and they're not standardized. And again, when I look at SITA as an example, and I refer to them because I think we can learn from aviation. They have not tried to supersede the technology that the airports or the aviation companies have developed. All they have done is link those technologies by providing the middleware, which will translate the digital language into one consistent language or one standardized language. So again, it's about collaboration and it's about embracing what's already there to create that standardized approach.
Now, creating that standardized approach is, of course, it's challenging. But the other part of the transformation, Carsten, is in AI. And what sort of role does AI play in driving this transformation, specifically within the energy industry?
The energy industry is extremely complex. If you look across the value chain of energy, you have a lot of different vendors, a lot of different relationships, a lot of moving parts. And the human brain can simply not control all of those things. And AI can help immense in that aspect. We like to say that you have to have a AI vision, infuse AI at the right level to make sure it works for you. And then you can augment people so they can make faster decisions. And obviously, if you can do that on a standardized platform, it will go faster, you can scale faster, you can implement faster, and the efficiency of your AI tools will become that much greater. But the ambition is to reduce costs, reduce emissions, and just be more efficient through AI.
So while doing that, one of the challenges is the data quality and the availability of data.
Yes.
So how do you overcome that and ensure optimum outputs?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Each client will have specific issues with data quality and data consistency. And we see, of course, that we end up spending some time in the beginning on finding the right sources of data, making sure that we get those data corrected, quality check. You can also use AI for that, but it does take some time before you can get into the implementation of the solution that will give you better efficiency. So we tackle it as part of the implementation. It's not an impossible challenge, but imagine that you have to do that with all clients out there, all of the oil and gas companies, all of the different companies in the supply chain. If the starting point had been some sort of standardization, it would have gone a lot faster to go to impact.
Now, we are here at ADIPEC, the world's largest energy event, and AI is at the forefront of all the discussion this year. But when it comes to scaling up in terms of AI, what are some of the barriers that companies need to overcome?
There's plenty of barriers out there. Just came from a roundtable discussion where the discussions came into the regulations, having government, NOC, IOCs, entities sharing knowledge and so on. So I'll break it maybe down to another level. So what I have seen is that we can go into energy assets around the world and we can find applicable AI use cases where we can make tremendous impact. And we can get the business behind us. We start implementing. There's some management of change, maybe some data quality issues. But the real challenge becomes when you have AI that goes across different vendors and different stakeholders, because they would be managed by contracts and KPIs and hierarchies that have been set decades ago and have been optimized in a world without AI. And suddenly, if you go and ask a vessel provider that they need to sail in this way, but their KPI tells them to do something different, it becomes a very complex process to actually achieve. So it's not so much the technology, but more how do you manage the communication, the whole value chain for the greater good.
That's an excellent point, Carsten. And thank you and Julian for your insights and for being in the Energy Connect studio.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. And don't forget to follow us on our social media and on energyconnects.com. I'll be back with more studio interviews. Stay tuned.